Hola, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe for more content like this. So we're actually we lost power a few times and it's back on right. You're gonna hear my power station ramp up every now and then. Even though we got our power back, when it floods here, which it's not as bad as it sounds like, it rained for more than half the day or half the day. When it gets that saturated, there is something that trips in this garage and I'm not able to use the corner that I have. Haven't figured that out yet. So right now I'm using two power stations, one to run the lights behind me and one to run the light in front of me, and I have a fan here because it's hot. I have other power stations that are in place around the house, so they're good to have because they can help you out in a pinch. And I've always had one or two, but recently I picked up a few more. We do have a generator as well, but power stations are so much easier. You just charge it, make sure it stays charged, put away somewhere. And then when you need it, you can run different things in your household. Now, depending on what you need to run, it depends on what kind of power station you buy. But if you're like me, just running a few things, like I have one set up that can keep our Wi-Fi going, because here, if the power goes out, it's not really the cable that goes out, right? Or not really your internet provider that goes out. It's just the power that it's plugged into. If you have it plugged in, if you use a power station, you can run your Wi-Fi. I have kids, right? So, you know, they want to watch something on their iPad, or I need to use the phone for something, my laptop. These power stations can also charge those devices, but also run like things like your Wi-Fi. And I use it also to charge my power tool batteries. So my Milwaukee batteries in the van, things like that. They're very useful. And it's just ironic, on the day that I finally get to film this video, we've been having issues with our power. So again, power stations also can run lights. I mean, I kind of mentioned that right now, but lights and fans. So we had a day where we were without power for about 18 hours, I believe. So we ran fans, we ran, you know, we had a generator for like the bigger stuff, but like fans and lights and TVs and, you know, things like that. That's where these power stations came into play. Obviously, the higher wattage, the more you can run. And then the more milliamp hour is how long it'll run. So very helpful. I'll have a video on that kind of scenario with like generators and different things very soon. I want to go over a few things that we have set up throughout the house. But like I said, I'm just going to talk about a few Milwaukee ones that showed up as well. They sent over, I think it's only two. The M18 top off, I already got into it, so I could take a look at it. This is a 2846-20. And I actually used this when that power outage happened, and I was using it to run our Wi-Fi and a lamp. So you take your M18, you have a rafter hook on this end, and then you're able to plug in one single plug, or you have, if I can show it, two up here. You got one USB-A and one USB-C. So also was able to charge like my phone and different things during that power outage. So this is an even smaller one than obviously the other one that I just showed, but also in watt power. So this is 175 watts, and all this, because I've been asked if this can run like vacuum pumps or recovery machines. All this can do, and you can see how small it is, even if you put a big Forge battery in there, all this can do is recharge phones, tablets, and laptops. And it says you can run a small box fan on here too. That's all this can do. Anything under 200 watts is not going to even run a mini fridge, I don't believe, or I wouldn't attempt that. So it tells you on there what it does. That's what this little guy is. It's really good to have if you need to recharge devices. Like I said, I ran my Wi-Fi and a lamp off of this, and it did pretty well. I also recharged my phone because we're trying to figure out how to, you know, stay comfortable that night and charge everything. So that's where these come in handy. So that's the Milwaukee top off tool. Now they do have a very powerful 1800 watt power station, and I think the peak is like 3600 watt. I believe that's what it is. So I'm gonna get that out because it's powering all my stuff. And that one is the one that can power your power tools, your corded tools, and it also acts as a charger for your batteries if you plug it in. All right, let's see how we can film this. This is the power station itself. You can hear it ramp up. It is it's quite heavy, so I'm gonna leave it where it's at. It has to run on 4 batteries, and it gives you an indicator right here that there's one missing or whatever. So right now it's powering this light that's right here and a box or a Milwaukee fan that's on the floor. So like I said, the only bad thing is you need 4 available batteries, and it will not run without any of the 4. This one is the M18 carry-on power supply. So it's a 3600 watt peak. Continuous is 1800 watts. Like I said, we're gonna try it out. I'm gonna try a couple of things right now, which would be very simple for me to do right now. So right here is the front. You do have indicators right here. If one is missing, you have your power button, and this is the bars. It basically will, it kind of evenly, it doesn't go through one at a time. I think it evenly drains them because without one, it won't even work. So right here, you have an indicator of how much power you have in total with your 4 batteries. You do have 2 AC plugs right here. And then this is where you would connect the cord that it comes with, or an extension cord basically. If that is plugged in, you can run this power supply through here, but also charge your Milwaukee battery. So what I did with this is when I needed to refill or top off batteries, I could also just go plug this into the generator that I had running. And if you're worried about anybody stealing your batteries, this extends out and you can lock that in place, put a padlock through here, and they're not able to, it kind of blocks off the batteries from being removed. So that's that little locking feature if you need that on the job site. You also have 2 ports right here. You have a USB-A and a USB-C charger if you need to charge any devices. You do have some hooks or rings on the side here if you need that. It does ramp up every now and then. All right, so this is the 2845-20 power station by Milwaukee. I just wanted to go over a few things here and specifications. It is a pure sine wave, and these hooks or D-rings on the side are actually for a shoulder strap. You can see the part number right there for one that they have or they offer, and it is 28 pounds, in case you were wondering. 15 inches wide, 12 inches deep front to back, and then almost 14 inches high. You do get power delivery, 60 watts on that USB-C port. And right here, it's going to give you a rundown on what you can do with this power station, depending if you go with the lower end, something like 5.0s, or if you go all the way up to a 12.0, obviously times 4, but you know, this is the runtime you can expect and what you can run with it. Obviously, you can run quite a bit of power tools with it, and we used it for TVs and fans and lamps. I have my recovery here. This would be the only thing that I do not have cordless yet, and I say yet because Milwaukee actually has a battery-powered recovery machine that should be out next year. So I'm very excited for that. In the meantime, you can take your recovery and plug this in here, and it does turn on. So we're good to go there. And then if you want to start that, absolutely no issue, no problem there. It starts up very easily. So if you want to turn your existing vacuum, like corded vacuum pumps or recovery machines into cordless, if you have a power station like this, and I'm not saying you have to get the Milwaukee one, you can compare others to it, but I like it because it's easy to store the way it's kind of shaped and everything in the van, and I always have a ton of batteries readily available, even if the downside is that you need to run 4. I wish it would take like 2 at least and maybe run some smaller stuff, but I always have around 4 or 5 anyway that are not being used, and you put them in here, run your system or recover, whatever you need to do, and probably not even make a dent in these batteries anyway, and then throw them back, and be able to use them again. If you're already in the Milwaukee ecosystem, it just works already with the batteries you have. I have Forge batteries in here. You can always use whatever you got. And I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. We can run it now without worrying about if we have actual working outlet on the unit, which we never do, and not having to run over 100 feet of extension cord on those really. I have some really weird places that are huge strip malls that you're not going to get any outlet nearby. And even if I did run it through the kitchen somehow, some way, that is a trip hazard. So I try to go cordless or battery powered as much as I can, and this is one solution. All right, guys, so I hope that answered some questions. Like I said, I got comments asking if this little guy can power any tools. Unfortunately, it cannot. You would have to get that bigger power station, which they have an even bigger one, but that's that whole MX lineup of those big ass batteries. So that power station, I think, is going to come in handy. The bigger one to run if I need to run like my recovery, or I don't have a corded pump anymore when I used to have my fill piece pump. Those kinds of situations, or we need to run power tools or whatever it is on a isolated, unit. There's no plug because a lot of the plugs don't work on the units. I can't run over 100 feet of extension cord, things like that. So it's a trip hazard in the kitchens as well. I firmly believe that having a power station of any sort, and a few of them, is a good idea to have, not only for emergency situations, but also I think it's a good setup if you need to run power. Well, in the emergency, run power to a certain room or anything like that, or just have it set up in your van and charge some batteries. So like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll try and link everything that I can down below. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I will do a follow-up. I want to do a little bit of a deeper dive onto how I set these power stations up. This was just kind of an introduction to some of the equipment itself. And like I said, hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you guys.